Do we have some weird feedbacks or?
It sounds okay. So I think everyone who's supposed to be muted is muted.
I think Joe should be muted.
Yeah, I think I need
my computer.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Well, let's get started with maybe quick updates from everyone. I see Soggy first in my view. Would you like to kick us off, Soggy? And I can just keep saying hello if you like.
I probably worked something. Actually, I was working on the sampling from posterior using our gradient basin version. So yeah, I'm like a major job here. I'm kind of working on the certainty quantification and airborne EM problems. That's my main job at the moment. So yeah, I'm kind of like trying to find some other ways, like rather than doing Monte Carlo, Markov chain Monte Carlo types of stochastic approach. So yeah, it seems like pretty well known. If you assume everything is Gaussian, you can sample from posterior, assuming you find that optimal solution. Yeah, I worked on that. I got something working solution. So yeah, anyone wants to use it, can use it later.
Excellent. Cool. Colton and Andrea, would you be willing to jump in with anything? So just saying hello if you like.
Hi, everyone. I'm still, like, it's going to be a month before I do my first comp, so nothing new for me.
Fair enough.
And I'm writing my second comps, but I was recently thinking of how to incorporate non-finite volume, finite element solutions into SimPEG or into, I'm forgetting the name of that other repository, because I have an integral equations approach to the steel casing problem and the 1D layered earth for an electric dipole. And I was wondering how best to incorporate that.
For sure. What we can do, we can add that if there's time at the end for a bit of a longer discussion item. And if we run out of time, let's start a discourse post and we can walk you through how to do that. Because in this case, it'll be easier actually if you strap on to the simulation version of SimPEG. We should hopefully be releasing that soon. But basically, like the highlights of that are, as long as you can give us a class that has the method dpred, it has the method jvec and jtvec, then we're good to go.
Okay.
So yeah, so we can walk through that in more detail, but that's kind of like the quick version.
Cool.
Excellent. Perfect. Well, do you want to go around the table at UBC? Whichever way you like. Okay, now we're getting really bad feedback from you. Can't hear you.
You guys hear me?
So the trick is that we need whoever's doing the volume, like whoever is listening to us, to also have the mic, because then Zoom auto corrects for whoever's speaking. So it's not going to work if we have mic and speakers on different computers.
Give me the
Yep.
We're good.
Bye.
1 sec, guys. 1 sec.
Okay, can you hear this, guys?
Yes, and I think that sounds okay.
So that should be okay, right? You guys can hear me on the other one?
Yeah.
Okay, and then now it's getting up there, okay. So basically I've been going through a lot of the simulation stuff, just making sure the tests pass. I'm trying to get all the tests updated. Most of the way through the potential field stuff. I think I've only got one more left to work on. And then
I need to get the docs going. That's about it.
Joe, I had left a quick comment with respect to the simulation naming stuff that you put in the dev branch.
Sure.
What do you think of that?
Um,
Or sorry, for folks who didn't catch that, it's in the Slack dev channel.
so basically, we want to rename some of like the simulation underscore CC underscore, E to more descriptive names, being, okay, well, what does E mean in this case? What does J mean in this case? So essentially, like I like the Lindsay's a little bit more than what I had. I would just kind of throw out stuff. So the idea to get a problem underscore CC would be simulation self-sensors or something. Simulation nodal simulation. Yeah. Just to be a little bit descriptive about what's actually going on.
Yeah, and Dom, to your point about sort of magnetics.simulation.integral simulation, I think that like ideally what we will do is actually be able to go directly from magnetics to .simulation integral. And so it'll be stored in a file called simulation.py. And so that line of code that you have in there totally is valid. But the init.py would skip the extra step of having to go like through the simulation module. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's already listed in the repo right now for that.
Cool, excellent.
They would all have that, something similar to that. That are having to go into those.
The sub, yeah. All accessible from the top. Yep.
I mean, I gotta figure out convention for the inclination, declination, total field to XYZ. Maybe just add an option on if we're doing up or down, or just assume it's always up now, because I'm pretty sure it's up everywhere in the code, right? In the code base now it is, so probably should just modify that function to always do up, given an inclination, declination, total field. I'm thinking of adding a sensitivity path to the base simulation, the sensitivity path property to the base simulation, because it's used in the DASC simulations for potential fields and for the static equations or static modules. In the static codes, it's called JPath, and the technical sensitivity path. So I'll just rename them to sensitivity path and move it up. I don't know. I've always got a bunch of other things that kind of pop up here and there that I keep thinking of. I try to note down as I'm thinking about them. But anyway.
And what's your thoughts on like how where we're at in terms of a release? Like, do you think in the next day or so we could put out a beta release just to try like the installation for all the GWB stuff?
So if we can get it to, basically if we can get it to master before then.
I mean, ideally, but it also doesn't actually have to get to master, is we can do a release that's basically like, hey, this is a pre-release.
Yeah, I was looking into how to set that up on Conda Forge. Have you looked at that, or do you know how to have a beta release on Conda Forge and have different versions?
I think so. I think it should just trigger if we do a PyPI beta release, which I think I do know how to do. I don't remember offhand, but I have done it before.
We should be okay with the beta release pretty soon.
Okay.
Like I said, I just don't think the doc testing is. I've got to work on that. So the docs might not be quite up to date yet. So.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
I'm doing it as much as I can.
Thanks, Joe.
So, what's the relationship between a beta release and us being able to access the apps when we're in?
So, I mean, what that should do is streamline the installation process. But that said, even if we don't get it through, they'll just be, instead of doing a conda install SimPEG, what we will do is you'll first conda install discretize, because we want to install discretize via conda because it takes care of all the C++ when you have Windows machines, especially. So we'll have them do conda install discretize, and then we can actually just do a pip install from Git if we need to for SimPEG. So either way forward, it's not a big deal. But it's a little cleaner if we can get it onto CondaForge. But yeah, it's not a roadblock either way.
So are these things, I mean, Devin is going to be our probably most advanced tech person when we're there. All right, so are these all things that, you know, we have no trouble in handling?
Yeah, what we should do, and Joe, I'm happy to work with you on this if you have bandwidth for it, or I can take a first crack at it, but I won't get to it till probably tomorrow night, is writing up a step-by-step installation. Just like go to Anaconda, install Anaconda, the latest on Python 3, and then those sort of steps from there.
I'd like to, as far as steps, kind of would like to have them create a separate, like another Conda environment, and so they're not messing with their base environments. Usually a better idea.
Let's chat through that, Joe, because I think in this case, I hesitate a bit with that because introducing the concept of environments is pretty complicated. Whereas if all that we're having them do is install discretize and SimPEG sort of on top of the base Conda environment, yeah. It shouldn't cause too many problems. I'm more worried about sort of like the cognitive overhead of managing environments.
Okay.
They may not have used Python at all, I guess. Yeah. And probably the easiest way, they install Anaconda, then can just basically click the Jupyter Notebook and open whatever they need to run the code. That's it.
Yeah, and actually what we can even do is we could even write, I don't know if that'll work. We can think through that, but at the very least, yeah, like we can put together some step-by-step of just what's sort of the most straightforward way to get stuff installed.
So could we, so both Ben and Max have got Windows machines. Is it possible to try to kind of set all that up so that we could even try it out yet today?
Yep, that would be good, because what we could do there is have them basically download Anaconda, conda install discretize, and then do the pip install for Git with SimPEG, and that should be pretty straightforward. And I'm sure that, like, Thibaut, when I'm saying this, does this also make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay. So Doug, I think between everyone you have in the room, there's absolutely somebody who can sort of walk through that with you. But the steps I would recommend is download Anaconda, use the Anaconda prompt to conda forge install discretize, and then pip install SimPEG. I'll write this down. I can write it down quickly in the meeting notes, and then you can give it a try.
Earlier we discussed bringing a bunch of USBs as a backup option. Do you still think that's necessary at this point? So I can just go to Staples and buy it.
I mean, maybe if we downloaded the Anaconda install, because that can be quite large and take a decent amount of time. So maybe having that all files on a USB drive would be helpful.
Yeah, that's a good idea, Joe.
32 gigabytes.
you are going to have to be careful passing those USB sticks around, because at least the project I helped with in Thailand, we had to, yeah, so I mean, within 5 minutes, the USB stick was completely corrupted with 5 different types of viruses. And
Just put it, don't put it back on your
Even there,
computer.
it's not out. So.
yeah,
We probably don't need 32 gigs.
They screw that.
Well,
Yeah, I'd like a 2 gig should be more than enough.
It's like,
Sorry,
it's like
bucks before
a
Christmas.
little bit more than half a gigabyte. It still take a decent amount of time to SimPEG though.
Oh, Anaconda.
Anaconda, I'm talking about like the base Anaconda itself, like half a gigabyte at least. That can take a little bit of time to download, depending on, I don't know what their download speeds are like over there. So, that would be my only thing. Everything else is just mostly text, downloading text files on the internet.
Some of the packages are
Everything else can take a while to
Yeah.
download.
Okay. Perfect. Who's next around the table?
Andrew, want to say anything? Update? Sounds good.
I built a bunch of short connectors. Maybe 10 or 20 more. For that, yeah, particular activity. We received confirmation from DRD that they received the actual irises for it. Yeah, and I'm going to work on inverting max and scale data sets using both the apps and.
I'm actually just trying to learn what I actually did.
We're getting a bit of background noise, I think potentially from Bain, who might have just joined. And maybe it disappeared. Okay. Sorry, anything else, Ren?
I think that's all.
Okay.
Did we get a manual? Did they send us an electronic copy of the manual for 72?
No, they didn't.
Okay. I'd like to send a message to them to see if we can get that. Issues like, is it an SD card download or is it all cable? A few things like that. But I wasn't able to determine that from the Terra Plus either, because this is a newer version.
I found one on the internet that says
Yeah.
I don't know, it's from 2000.
Yeah, and this one is a 2-channel one, and that's relatively new, so I understand. So just a few things we need to find it.
Okay. And I also tried to contact the QTs again, trainers and trainers, regarding the best case study, and they didn't respond. So I think probably at this point it's just best that we tackle that during the course. Okay.
Excellent. Thanks, Ren.
So I've been focusing on visas, and the part for GWB is just working with getting all the files ready for Process and ElectroPro to work through them. I'm still debating whether I put together a slideshow with screens, but it's more or less handled best by showing them running the software. So when we need to make sure that we have the code for the ElectroPro for them. And I guess that's what we'll put on the 2 computers that I'm going to bring. Right, there's an ElectroPro code I think that you have. That was with that system.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And if anybody else wants to play with ElectroPro, which is making the files to run the iris, then we can provide that code too. So, and no code is required for processing download. I'll be interested to see Doug, you were talking about making sure we can go through the an interpretation. I don't know anybody that's actually taken the export from Process and run it through the DCIP2D code. Rob probably has. Rob, I should talk with him just to see if there were any problems with that. But it outputs data in a UBC format.
It's pretty straightforward format. I haven't run DCIP2D for 10 years, 9 years, so I haven't looked at the format. But that's the ones that are loaded up on the folder. You've used it? You've done the export?
I recall it's been a while.
Yeah. And with topography too then? Yeah. Okay. That's about it. Just getting ready, everything to go, shipping, etc. You're on, but
Yeah, I guess the one thing that we haven't talked about is just making sure that we know how to access the latest apps, and also if there's things that we find that we'd like to have changed, whether we have the wherewithal, in particular, I guess would be Devin down there, to make changes, or whether we need to converse back with Joe, or how we try to make all of that seamless.
yeah, that's a question for Ren. What was the internet capability? Is there anything blocked? Is all Google stuff is available to us in Myanmar, that sort of thing?
We didn't have any trouble
I recall any.
whatever there. It's just the internet is sometimes pretty flaky. Sometimes you just simply no internet.
Well, whenever I call Mr. Wynn, probably on average once or twice per call, the Wi-Fi just shuts out in his office.
Okay.
But it can sustain, a video call for at least when it is working. So.
Okay.
So when we do the SimPEG installation, are all of the apps then going to be there with it, or how will they clone the apps and get them on their computer? What's the steps involved there?
Okay, let me show you what I've written up here, and anyone else feel free to jump in who's been involved if you've got questions or if you think there's a better way to be doing this. But I just, in the SimPEG meeting notes, added a quick description, and this I think should just be copied into either the README of the apps or into a different document, probably the README of the apps. So the first thing to do if they're starting from scratch, and as I imagine everyone will be, is to download Anaconda.
So we can see your hidden behind. There we go. Yep.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. So is to download Anaconda, make sure it's the Python 3.7 version. And it is a good idea to download this onto a few USB sticks in case the internet's slow, because if you have even 15 people trying to download this all at once and the internet isn't great, it's gonna be slow. And that'll be the biggest download. These commands need to access the internet, but these will be pretty lightweight. So once you have that downloaded, you'll open up and run from the Anaconda shell, because especially with Windows machines where what the shell has access to is opaque. But if you use the Anaconda shell, you are in the right environment. So what you'll do from there is run these 2 lines of code. So you'll first set Conda Forge as the main place that you get packages from. That's what these 2 are doing, is basically saying, I would like to also install packages from Conda Forge, and I would like to make sure that Conda Forge is my priority place where I get them from. Then we'll Conda install discretize. And then for now, what we'll do is pip install the simulation branch of SimPEG, and this should get you onto the correct branch of SimPEG. Then you can go to GitHub, and what we'll do is actually just download the apps. And so I'll drop a screenshot in there of that. Is just go there, and there's a button that says clone or download right here. And we'll just say download a zip file, and that'll put the apps in a zip file that they can then open up from their computer. And then we can open up an Anaconda prompt from within that open zip file and run Jupyter Notebook, and that should be the steps that are needed. So if you guys have a chance to like try that out this afternoon, here, I'll just take a screenshot of this. And make sure that that works. And if you have questions, we can do that in Slack or jump on a quick call later on to make sure that we've got everybody up and running. Does that answer your questions?
Is it worth to put the zip file on the USB stick at the same time as the Anaconda?
You could, but it probably doesn't matter too much at this point because the zip file shouldn't be too heavy. The download of Anaconda is the heavy one.
I mean, if it's relatively small, then let's see.
Okay.
It might be changing faster than that though. Like, as soon as you put it on, it'll probably change. You know? Right.
What, I mean, the apps or what?
Well, I mean, if there's some small app that needs to change, then it's all likelihood as soon as you like, download it, it's going to change. I'm not saying it will.
No,
I'm just
I know. Just to have something in
yeah.
the event some bizarre.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough.
Cool. Okay. Trying to get my screen back.
So should we, should we actually make the USB drive, I suppose we put that on, develop that on a Mac on Joe's computer, right? And then you take that USB and the instructions and then go over to RENs and did that. Is that a complete circle of things that we need to do?
You can try that out. It shouldn't necessarily matter that it starts from Joe's computer, as long as you download the Windows version of Anaconda. So you should be able to do that from any computer. Stick that on a USB stick, and then go from there.
Okay.
In progress. We'll find out soon.
Yeah. I mean, so maybe the thing to do there is just copy paste those instructions that I've left into a new document. And if you run into any issues, leave some comments in there and we can sort it out from there.
Good. Thank you.
Perfect. Thibaut, do you have any updates?
Nothing for the GWT project, obviously, but yeah, I've been like submitting a paper by the end of the week, cleaning some notebook, writing a thesis.
Excellent. Cool. John, do you have any?
Working with Joe, I'm pretty happy with the state of potential fields. We spent at least 2 days on it, reduced by almost half the number of lines of codes. I think it's a lot cleaner, use properties for all our things. And yeah, I'm good on my side. Joe's gonna finish the testing, I guess, and that should be good to go for me.
Excellent, that's exciting. Oh, and Mike, I didn't see you there. Do you have any things you'd like to add?
No, not too much. Just trying to wrap things up. Kind of, and things in good shape.
Right. Sounds good. And Bain, I see that you dropped in at the mind side of things. Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you all?
Doing well. Good to see you.
Dropped in to see what's going on.
Excellent. Well, as you see, there's a lot going on with respect to a groundwater project. The team from UBC is headed to Myanmar on tomorrow night. So yeah, so we're getting some notebooks ready for that, as well as educational materials. So yeah.
Check out the notebooks.
Yeah, they're in, I can send you the link. Actually, they're in the notes, but I can drop the link in. It's in the SimPEG research GWB DC inversions repo. So
Hold them in the emails.
excellent. Okay. I guess with respect to other things, one thing that I think would also be worth folks playing with if you have some time is the discourse page, especially with respect to the groundwater stuff. because I can imagine that for the TOTs, if we can identify, a handful of people who will be trainers, if down the line, if they are comfortable using discourse, that could be sort of a sustained way for us to keep in touch and to support them even when there's nobody in Myanmar at that point.
Lindsay, I think you put it earlier, but is there a link to the Discourse page?
Not in the notes right now, but I will drop another link in. So it's at simpeg.discourse.group, but I will drop that in the notes.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Okay. Are there any other items that people want to go over while we're all here together, or
Nope, not on our side.
Okay. Sounds good. Anything else from Mines or Sagi?
Nothing particular.
Okay.
Good.
Yep. Perfect. Okay. Well, I'd like safe travels, everyone, if we don't see you before tomorrow.
Sounds good. Have a good afternoon.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. We'll all be online.
Under control.
Sounds good. Well, hang in there, and yeah, feel free to ping if you need anything.
Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Bye.
Guy's got big shoulders.